I worked on a TV series called Vladimir, and Leo Woodall, like there was this scene where he was like pleasuring himself and like I had to like, and I was like, okay, I have to cue this because the showrunner wants him to do like more breaths there. So, but he was so game. Like it was really funny. He was embarrassed, but he was great. Like everyone's so nice.
Welcome everyone to today's episode on Zebra Spotlight. I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted to be speaking with Lidia Tamplenizza all the way in sunny New Jersey today. Lidia is the supervising sound editor for the wonderful film and super hit The Devil Wears Prada 2. And before we take a deeper dive into that, Lidia, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Hi, my name is Lidia Tamplenizza. I am a sound supervisor, sound editor, mostly dialogue and ADR side. I'm a budding re-recording mixer, and I work in New York primarily, but I live in New Jersey across the river. I have 2 kids, and yeah, I really enjoy this work.
Wonderful. And I can see your, when I was just reading your profile, this is so fantastic, but you were an apprentice to the ADR department in The Devil Wears Prada, the first film.
Yes.
And then through the ranks, you've now become a supervising sound editor for the sequel, much in the journey of Andy's character. That's just extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, it has been 20 years, so which seems like such a long time, but I guess it doesn't feel like it really. But yeah, I was lucky enough to get in touch. I'm originally from Australia, as you may tell, and I started sound there. And then I guess when I was about 25, because I started early, I was about 21 when I just left college. And at about 25, I decided I wanted to travel, and maybe sound was going to be the thing to take me there. So I came to New York after kind of a stint in LA, just kind of to check out the lay of the land, and interned and did a few things. I mean, I'm condensing a very long and arduous visa process and all that kind of thing, but the short of it is I started with Ben Chia, who was also an Australian sound supervisor, and he was kind enough to give me an internship and like get me started at C5, which is a kind of a boutique sound facility in New York that still exists today. And that's where Skip Leavesay was from, and he started it. I think he and Ron Bokar and Phil Stockton started it. Anyway, and then after being in New York a couple of years, 2 in fact, I came here in 2004, and in 2006 I met Paul Urmson, and I guess we'd kind of run into each other in the hallways. And he had this position for an apprentice on this movie. And I, of course, accepted. And I was going to be working with Kenton Jacob, who is this great ADR editor, also still working today. Yeah, and that's how I got on Devil Wears Prada. And it was fabulous. Like, we ended up actually being in the same building. We were at Sound One, which no longer exists. But we were in the building right next to the picture department, and the music department. So we would have these lunches, and it would be like the picture editor, the picture assistants, the music editor. I mean, all these wonderful people. It was like it was kind of like a dream come true, just personally as well, not just the movie, which I really loved, but also just the characters I met while doing the film. So yeah, and David Frankel was just an amazing, kind, just genuine human being. And I ended up working on several other of his films. I mean, Paul works on all his films, but I worked on Marley and Me and Collateral Beauty, and then on Devil Wears Prada too. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
What a journey. And you mentioned early on, travel was a big thing for you, and you used sound to start that journey. How did you get into the whole sound field industry in the first place? I mean, was it academic from college? Was it music? What's your story?
I went to Macquarie University. I'm from Sydney, and I went to Macquarie University to study communications. I didn't know what really I wanted to do. I think I didn't really have a grand plan. But through that course, there was a component that was audio, and we learned this audio editing software called DEC at the time, which nobody I know has ever heard of. Anyway, but it was like the first digital audio workstation that I'd ever seen, and really enjoyed it. And then consequently, there was actually a community radio station that was connected to the Macquarie University called 2SER FM. And I got involved there, and I ended up hosting a drive time show. And part of that was like doing interviews and then splicing quarter-inch tape, like recording on quarter-inch, splicing it. And I loved the medium of radio, because then eventually, even after college, like I stayed connected with 2SER and sometimes I would do like midnight shows. It was also like a social thing. But one thing, there was one awesome show called Audio Days, which was basically people would come in and they'd have made these crazy, just like audio pieces of audio spliced together and like made sounds or music or whatever it was. And I kind of loved it, because on one hand it was like, what is this? Like, this isn't anything. But on the other hand, I just loved that they were using the medium of sound. And I kind of realized, I think I don't like radio, like I don't like working in radio. I like working in the sound realm. So then I was also a movie lover, big time. And one day at there was the Australian Film and Television School in Sydney were advertising a workshop with the sound people on Oscar and Lucinda, which is this Gillian Armstrong film. And it was one of my favorite films at the time. And I just went on a whim. Didn't even know there was such a thing as like sound editors. And so I'm like sitting alone. Like, I didn't bring anyone with me. I just went there, and I'm just agape at the fact that there is this job. And so that was the start for me. And I talked to Jane Patterson, who was the sound effects editor at the time, on that. And she said, why don't you just come in and like hang out? And I said, okay. And so that's what I did. I just hung out. I met Andrew Plain, who was the supervising sound editor, and really such a key part of my career, I think. And yeah, just lovely people. And I worked for a year without getting paid. And then after a year, I said, oh, can I work on your next job? And they were like, no, you cannot work for free on the next job. And I was like devastated. But then they said, we'll offer you a position. And I said, as assistant. So I was like, oh, thank God. Okay. So that's how it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think there's so many lessons there to learn. I think for anyone listening, particularly nowadays, I guess in such a saturated industry where now anyone can make sort of decent movies using a bit of technology. It's just that case of just being immersed in the right groups, networking with the right people, and just
Yeah.
getting yourself involved.
Yeah.
Because you never know where the opportunities are going to come, and I think you did that.
I mean, I definitely, and Andrew used to say this all the time. He said the best education that I got for this industry was a degree in psychology. That's what he would always say because he did psychology. And he's 100% right. Like, this job is about people. It is definitely about the sound and it's about the technology. But more than that, it's about relationships, and working collaboratively and understanding when to let go of things or when to push or it's like a lot of jobs are like that. Yeah. So I feel strongly about that.
And when your kids ask you, so Mum, what do you do for a living? What do you do day to day? How easy is that to explain? Are they inspired, or how does that go?
I think they find it cool when they're interested in the movie or the show that I've worked on. And I mean, working on A Quiet Place Day One was like a big boon for my son, who's almost 15. And then working on Devil Wears Prada 2 at one point with my 9-year-old. So, yeah.
That's ultra cool.
Yeah.
The I'll discuss it now. So A Quiet Place Day One. I've not seen the entire film, but it's often used in reference demo sequences for home theatre.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think near the beginning there's a particular scene where the lead character's walking through sort of an empty subway station, and it's almost like pin drop silence. It's very, very quiet, and then you meet one of the aliens, and there's a huge low frequency thud.
Yeah.
And if you've not seen that bit, it
Yeah.
it's like, oh my god, proper
Yeah.
jump moment. And
It is. Like, there's actually a lot of good surround stuff with that. Yeah, because there's a scene where they're in a theater, and then suddenly a helicopter flies overhead, and then the creatures kind of go above you. So yeah, that's a cool one too. That was such an interesting film to work on because I worked on the dialogue side of things, which like people were like, "What? There's a dialogue person?" I mean,
in fact, I was going to ask you exactly that question, because when you're seeing these type of films where there's a lot of effects going on, particularly explosions or mayhem, logically you'd think, I'm not supposed to hear what this person's saying because there's so much mayhem going on, and there's a certain psychological trick that you guys are brilliant at, where the dialogue's the important bit, because that's carrying the story amidst the mayhem. And I don't know how technical or how simple you can make this, but getting the audience to understand with clarity exactly what the narrative is amongst the mayhem is really important without making it sound fake. So I don't know how you guys do it, but it's fantastic.
well, I also think it's actually also editing and camera work too, because if you had a shot of them far away and you really expected to hear what they were saying whispering, I don't know if it would fully translate. Whereas if you kind of really edit, a good editor will kind of make it work by getting a bit more intimate but yeah, there are always going to be the times when you have to make that work, even in a long shot. Yeah. I think, I don't know if there's a rule per se, but I don't know. I mean, I think one of the tough things with that film was just the connection. I feel like dialogue is something that connects the audience to characters as well as all the other sounds. Like, it's it's part of it, like part of hearing something from your actor to connect you to that person. So for me, it's always about, breaths and so non-verbal stuff, but vocalizations and efforts and those kind of things. And maybe sometimes I go overboard, but like I do feel like it's important to get that stuff. Like we did a lot of breath work with Lupita, because that's another hard thing to capture when you're on a set that's got lots of special effects going on, which are quite noisy, and so then you're trying to capture like the main character's breaths or efforts at the time. It's very hard. So I tend to ADR that kind of stuff, which some people don't really love, but a lot of people do that in fight sequences and things for action series. And it helps you ground yourself to that character.
The other thing it's wonderful to see it's a female in this profession, because certainly for many years this was very, very male dominated, and you probably see more female Foley artists, which is fairly commonplace, but to actually be in the lead role that you've got, that there's I'm glad to see there's more females coming into this industry, because it's so artistic, and you guys just bring a whole different dimension to this. Just, I guess, like female physicians, then they're just wonderful people. But how challenging, or did you face sort of personal challenges coming into the industry, or had things it sounds like you were sort of welcomed in with open arms and everything's been pretty cool?
Yeah, in Australia it's interesting, because I felt like in Australia, women, like, you're not necessarily boxed into a type of editing. So I did some effects and I did some dialogue, whereas when I came here, it felt like people were more specializing in certain areas. And I mean, I've always loved the dialogue side of things, but I do feel like a lot more women go into dialogue, maybe because we feel like it's more acceptable. I don't know. I know several very, very talented female effects people, sound designers. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It's a tough one, because my experience will differ from other people's, but I don't think I've felt pushback, but I don't know either. I certainly feel like I'm trying to mix, and in my personal experience, it's hard because I'm a dialogue person, and like I really, really want to mix. Just sitting in mixes with Skip and with Skip Leapsay and talented people like that, who kind of take the shroud off mixing. Like he for a long time it felt like, oh, it's so technical, and it is. I don't want to say it's not, because it is, and that's part of the side of things that I feel like I have a lot more to learn. But it's also just about using your ears, and like it's not rocket science, and there are so many different ways to mix. Like, I know so many different mixers who like only mix on the board, or only mix inside the Pro Tools with the mouse, but you're still mixing a movie and it sounds great. So I think personally, I felt like I didn't want to mix for a long time, until I sat with people like Skip, who were like, what's the big deal? And he was much more open to like, yeah, why not? You should do that. And he would throw little things my way. But again, like, I just finished mixing on an indie movie And I mean, it was a steep learning curve. I have so much to learn. But it was also so fun. It was so fun to get to, mix all the layers together. And yeah.
Talking about mixing, so I enjoyed I recall the first film many years ago and enjoyed it. And then obviously when I saw the trailers for the sequel, it was my wife who's probably more interested to going to watch it rather than me. And we sat down to watch it, and I just loved the film because just the first few minutes completely captivated me, and it was all because of the sound. And
Really?
yeah, 100%. And immediately I was thinking, oh my God, the sound mix in this is just, I was just, I had a big grin on my face, and it was just wonderful. From the opening shots and the noises of New York, the music kicks in. It was just something I just really, really, really enjoyed it. So, congratulations to you and all the team. I just thought the sound mix was wonderful, and I think it should be reference demo material.
Wow. Well, that was such a hard reel to mix, real one. Dialogue wise, like especially the Met Gala steps, that was really tough because it had to be really, really full on, like tons of people, music was going, like you wanted to surge when Miranda gets there. But meanwhile, then suddenly Nigel and Miranda are talking like this, and it's just like, oh my God, how are we going to hear them? So that was tough to get the right balance of like, we did, that was definitely a challenging scene, I think. For all of us, like all of us in the room in the mix, like it's almost 100% ADR, and yeah, and it's funny because you want them to project, but that's not what they're doing on screen. So when we did ADR with Meryl, like she's not screaming, she's acting like her character. Yeah, it just made the mix challenging just because of the setup of the scene and then the way the dialogue's supposed to. And also it's it's exposition, like it's trying to tell kind of an important part of the story. So it was really tough. But I'm glad you enjoyed. I enjoyed all our hard work.
I was just captivated throughout the entire film for the very reason, exactly what you just gave, because it was I wasn't just observing the film at a distance. I felt very much taken from shot to shot into the intimate discussions, away,
Right.
being part of the paparazzi when people are arriving, the models, doing their thing.
Yeah.
You just taken all these little journeys as if you just transported to those little sections.
Yeah.
So it was very, very immersive, and that's what really, really impressed me about this film.
Yeah.
Just for members of the audience who haven't got a clue what ADR is,
Oh, yeah.
in a very simple way, how would you explain that to people?
So it stands for automated dialogue replacement, and it's basically when you, for whatever reason, the movie's been shot, and we get it back, and in the editing room, well, it could be that the director or the editor wants to add a line, or me as a sound editor, I listen to the tracks and I'm like, oh, this is a very bad recording, like it's unintelligible. We need to redo this line, and it might be them on screen, like us right now, and just for some reason the microphone didn't work, or it dropped off, or the costume's like a big one. Sometimes the costume just is really rustly or something. So we'll get the actors to come back into a studio, after the movie's already been shot and edited, and they come and redo their lines or add lines, whatever the reason. Yeah. So we had a lot. on Devil Wears Prada because the costumes were really noisy, and apparently, like, there was a lot of paparazzi around during the shoots. Yeah, we had some issues. We had quite a few. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was a lot of issues with the dialogue. We used a lot of tools.
Interesting. When the actors come in and they have to re-record certain lines, once the movie's shot, and how do you lip sync it? Because no one can tell.
Well, that's good. I mean, because sometimes I'm like, it's tough.
That's
I mean,
the art.
actors.
That's the art, isn't it?
It's all the actors. I mean, and I know there are a lot of actors who don't enjoy doing it because they feel like, well, it's not part of the performance. The performance was on the day, and this is after, and I completely understand that. But then there's other actors who, like Meryl, just go in and they're like, oh, well, I can make this better. And they just are amazing. Like, it's really, I mean, in the end, like, I don't want it to sound like ADR. I want it to sound exactly like it was from that space. So something that we do to try and ensure that is we try and record the ADR with the same microphones that we used on set. Sometimes, I mean, I do question sometimes, like, whether that's useful anymore because we have so many tools that kind of EQ match. So, yeah, but that's the rule of thumb that I use anyway. If possible, you use what the mics were on set. Just to try and match it better. Like, it's all about trying to match into the production.
I think people should feel even more impressed the fact that it was so challenging, and you guys did an outstanding job. So, congratulations again to all of you. It was wonderful.
Thank you. Well, thank you also to many dialogue cleanup tools that we used.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can tell that technology is really advanced. I mean, it's such a fantastic comparison and contrast from the first film to this. And you can see how things have moved on, and it's noisier, it's busier, it's everything's big and bold, and you can tell technology's moved on as well. And it's great sequel, but such a. But as I said, for me, it was the sound that captivated me within the first few minutes, and I thought, this is cool. I'm enjoying this.
That's cool.
And you also worked on an amazing series, actually, the Ripley TV show. On Netflix. Fantastic show, shot in black and white. Again, it's something that you're transported, to the island, to what's going on, to the beautiful villa. Tell us about your work on that show. Very, very different show, but still extraordinary in audiovisual presence.
Yeah, honestly, I feel so lucky that I got to work on that show. I mean, I only came in very late in the game, thanks to Larry Ziff. Actually, it was funny because we were talking, and Larry Ziff, who's the sound supervisor, mixer, designer. And I were talking about the series, and I'm like, you've got to, I mean, like, you need an Italian speaker to, like, help you. And, like, we'd joke about it. But at a certain point, they were like, Lydia, we actually might really need you because I speak Italian. We're going to record the loop group, all the Italian loop group in Italy. Would you be interested in going? And I was like, hello, of course. But that was amazing, an amazing experience. And I can't take much credit for that at all. I mean, Steve Zalian's like so amazing. He's an amazingly creative guy and just like knows what he wants. So he was I think he was very clear about how he wanted the group to sound like texture, and then the other supervising sound editor, Michelle Foyser, he cued all the ADR. So he basically wrote all the places that he wanted group, because that's what I did. Basically, I just did group. And so I took all his notes, which felt like a book, honestly, flew to Italy and then met these amazing actors. And we spent 4 days straight recording everything. And yeah, and then I cut it, and it was so fun to cut too, because they shot it during COVID, so there was not that many people really in the streets. So we were trying to create just the sound of more people around, like yelling from a window, or just, yeah, sounds you would hear in the streets. Yeah, so it was such a an amazing experience, and the fact that we won an Emmy is like just icing on the cake to a wonderful experience. Yeah, but Larry did such an amazing job, Larry and Michelle, and yeah, it's such a beautiful sounding track.
Again, congratulations to all of you.
Oh, thank you.
And just talking about what is there anything that you can share with us that you have in the pipeline? Anything else that you're working on that we can look forward to?
I just finished working on a film directed by Katie Holmes called Happy Hours, and I supervised and mixed that. So that's just premiering at Tribeca Film Festival on Saturday. So yeah, that was really fun. It was fun. It was much smaller. Like going from Devil Wears Prada to Happy Hours was just like night and day, but in a good way. Like I love working on smaller things as well. I think it's a chance to be more creative and really collaborate. Yeah, so that was a really special experience too.
And talking about creativity, I think just before we started shooting the podcast today, I think we were just talking about sort of which side of the brain we use, and you mentioned you probably only use a little bit of a percentage of the brain. But
Yeah.
I think, and although what you do is very technical, very similar to sound mixers, producers, and people often think about these studios with massive mixing deck and all these little knobs and things, but you guys tell stories and you convince us how real this is. You get us hooked and immersed, and as I said, first few minutes of Devil Wears Prada 2, I was hooked because of the sound. So I think that's a huge amount of creativity that goes on in some other space in your head.
Yeah, I mean, it is creative. I find it creative. I just don't think it's like what people would classically say creative. But to me, I love I love dialogue for just how it connects your audience. Or and also, like I was saying before, it's not even just the dialogue. It's like the breath and the just vocalizations that connect you to a character and also connect you to what they're feeling. Like, sometimes you'll have a close-up of a character sighing and there's no sound there. When I get it, there's no sound there, and I'm like, I want to hear that. I mean, like, and it just adds like a little bit more emotion, or
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's the emotional connection.
Yeah.
And as an audience, when we're emotionally connected to the characters and when we're feeling and we're empathizing, that's exactly what we're doing. And in I guess from my background, what I'm involved with when we build a home theatre for someone, and we've done all the calculations about how big should the screen be, how far should you sit. Once all of that's been done and it looks nice and it's an inviting place, when the movie starts, a well-engineered system has to evoke those emotions.
Yeah.
And if you don't reproduce what you guys have done, it just doesn't work properly.
Yeah. I had a really interesting experience. Like we finished Happy Hours, just the Katie Holmes film, and we went to a place to listen to the DCP, which is, when they match the mix to the picture before this screening. And we were sitting in the room, and the sound was so low, and I'm getting them to check the levels, and anyway, it turns out it was a wrapping issue. It was an issue with how the sound was put on, but like it was so disconcerting to mix in this room and hear it beautifully and hear it the way I imagined, and then go and listen to the digital print and the sound just not do anything to me. Like Nora Jones did the score for it, and it's beautiful, but the music was doing nothing for me. I'm like, this is not right. Something's wrong. And it just goes to show like how much that can impact like your watching experience, and like not seeing it the way it was meant to be seen impacts your viewing experience.
I completely agree with you, and I know a lot of viewers, will watch their favorite TV shows on phones and tablets and airplanes, and it's like, and I have to calm down, but I try and tell people, and the whole point of these podcasts is, if you look at the blood, sweat and tears and the amount of money that's been poured into such a production, if you get the right equipment, you'll be able to really enjoy the production for how it was meant to be enjoyed, and if you really want the real deal, get the stuff and you can enjoy it properly.
Yeah, it is tough though. We were working on Task, and there was a moment where, so usually Brad Inglesby, the showrunner, would come to New York. He's from Philly originally, and he would come to New York, and we would sit in a stage, and we would play and sound great. And then at one point during, toward the end of the episodes, we had to go back into a scene in episode 6, I think it was. And he ended up joining via Clearview, which is like it's kind of like Zoom, but you can play whatever's on our mix theater. It can be fed through Clearview, but only stereo. I don't think you can do it. Oh my God, don't quote me, but I don't think you can do it 5.1. But anyway, but he was listening to the scene, and he was a little taken aback, and he was like, this is not how I imagined. Like, this is not how it sounded when I was sitting there. And we were like, well, yeah, there's definitely going to be some translation stuff. Like Larry Ziff, who did Ripley, is the mixer of Task, and so he was explaining, like we're going stereo, so maybe the bass is not going to be as strong, and Brad was like, but I want everybody to hear it that way. And then it brought up really good discussions, like, should we be listening to it in stereo as well to make sure. And a lot of times movies, when we do deliverables are, like, so you deliver it as whatever Atmos, and then you start doing the home versions, you do the 5.1 versions, the stereo versions, just because it's going to go to all these places, and not everyone has the state-of-the-art sound setup. And a lot of times on those bigger movies, like, you do a pass where you listen through to the stereo and you're like, oh, you know what, that's too big there, this could use a boost, just because it's going to translate a little differently sometimes. I know that happened on Quiet Place Day 1 too. Like, a lot of people do that. And I think I remember actually seeing on one of your shows that was it the Game of Thrones people? Did you have them on? Anyway, that they had done a TV show and they had also listened in stereo to every episode. Like, it does beg the question, like, should we be doing that? Because people are listening on all sorts of different devices, and if you really want to know what it all sounds like, should we be devoting more mixed time to, let's listen to this in stereo and just tweak it, you know?
I think they certainly did that for Stranger Things. So I think on the Netflix stage studios,
Yeah.
I think that they do that as standard because
Yeah.
they know that people are going to be watching it in different formats.
Yeah.
There are, I think, slightly tweaks to the mixes so that they will enhance things for iPhones.
Wow, yeah. I mean, they do, don't get me wrong, like, we do listen to our stereos, but sometimes there's just not time in the schedule to do a full pass to, especially on TV. So, but I can imagine Stranger Things, like, yeah. Task is a much smaller endeavor.
I mean, from a production point of view, but again, the reverse is true as well, where when you have the right equipment, people who've probably watched it on another format suddenly think, wow, I've never seen or heard it like this before.
Right.
And it's a case, well, that's how it was mixed. And because now we have the equipment to play those frequencies and go to those depths, you wouldn't have known because you didn't have the equipment that reproduces the original track.
Yeah.
So I always, it's always a lovely surprise to just watch something in its full glory.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nice. I do feel lucky I get to be on the stage listening to it in its glory.
You're a creative, you love movies. Can you share with us some of your sort of go-to favorites, either TV shows, movies, past, present, anything that you love for whatever reason that you can share with us?
One thing I love is that's recent is The Pit. For definitely, like, the show is so great, it's so entertaining. I watch it with my son, who I'm not sure if he's too young to watch, but hey, he enjoys it. But for me, also just understanding how the sausage is made a little bit, the way they shoot it, that it's kind of this in the round situation, and it's very dialogue heavy, and the way they just beautifully hand off to different characters and trail off, and it's so well recorded and it's so well edited and mixed. It's great. It's, as a dialogue person, I really appreciate that, because I do feel like sometimes we don't give enough time to our sound recordists. And you know, what is this for if not understanding what the dialogue?
The 100% agree with
I mean,
you.
I know that's one component, but it's a pretty big one, especially for the on-set sound capture.
On one of my earlier podcasts, I think earlier this year, I recorded the anatomy of sound design with Brian Parker for the Supervising Sound Editor. So that's well worth a watch.
Oh, cool.
Again, I completely agree with you. It's captivating, and on the Instagram account for The Pit, there's lots of wonderful behind-the-scenes footage of how they capture the different camera angles. They storyboard the entire thing from the trolley coming in, who's going to go where. The choreography is amazing of the camera work. Yeah,
it like just thinking as a you know, behind the scenes. Yeah, it would be amazing. But you know, so I just this past February I started teaching a second year filmmaking graduate group at NYU. I started teaching sound to them, thanks to a colleague of mine, Tony Martinez, who's been doing it for 10 years or more even. And it was so wonderful and so eye-opening at the same time. Like, they're thrown into, this is second year graduate, so they have a short film that they're making. So you start with them having already shot it, and then they're in the process of editing. And, but anyway, one thing that I kept telling them is, I'm trying to mold you into the filmmakers I want to work with, I want to work for. Because, I was trying to tell them, like, you guys are probably encountering issues with your sound recordings right now. And they're like, yeah. Oh, we went, one woman was saying, I had this scene, we set in a bathroom, and we couldn't turn this off, and oh my God, the sound. And it was great to have those discussions with people, these budding filmmakers, like these people who are going to be making films in the future, and just to say, hey, you know what, like, maybe next time just think a little bit ahead and just scout out the location first and check, or make sure your characters' lavs work really well. Like, give the sound recordist 5 minutes before the take just to check the levels of the lavs and things like that. Because I think just a little bit more time will go a long way sometimes.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. So if anyone's listening and a budding filmmaker and you're in New York, you've got to go to, that's amazing. And I think you're amidst a group of sort of pioneers, particularly in the academic field, who are inspiring the future filmmakers. People like Mark Mangini, who's also, Randy Tom, all these guys who are wanting to push the boat out and share your secrets, your gems of wisdom with the filmmakers of tomorrow. I've got to connect you with a guy called Mike Gallagher, who runs In-Depth Sound on Instagram, and he interviews a lot of the legends who work in sound design, and he has a sort of live panel discussion on stage. And I think something, you sitting on a panel discussion like that would be just fabulous. We've got to get you down to Toronto as well.
I love Toronto. I'll be there. I've got friends up there. I love Toronto. And actually, I know some sound people up there. Dave Rose. Yeah. Very cool people.
I think it's fantastic. Everything that you're doing, and particularly sharing your art, it's just inspirational. And so for everyone watching, particularly if you want to get into filmmaking, this is the reason why I love interviewing people like you.
It's fun to chat.
Yeah, no, likewise. In ADR, particularly in New York, you've probably met Mark DeSimone or
Yes.
I think he's one of the very first people. Before we did the podcast, we just used to do written Q&As. And I remember we had a really good Q&A with Mark DeSimone, but I've got to get him back and chat all about ADR again, give his ADR.
Yeah, he just retired last year. So, but I'm sure he would have a lot to say. You'd have a lot to say. And there's Bobby Johansson is here as well, who's also a fantastic ADR engineer. I love doing ADR. I wish some actors would do a masterclass. And I know that sounds funny and stuff, but like, I just feel like some actors have had such a bad experience with it. And it just taints every other session. But
well, we'll have to get Daniel Craig on board. I think he'd be good at ADR.
I will say the Brits are really, they're top notch at ADR. Must be the theatre background.
I think it is. It's just that whole sort of you must do what you're told. Probably from schooling. School lunches in the dining hall, headmaster and headmistress, polish your shoes. I'm sure a lot of that gets.
And just so game. Like I worked on a TV series called Vladimir, and Leo Woodall, like there was this scene where he's like pleasuring himself, and like I had to like, and I was like, okay, I have to cue this because the showrunner wants him to do like more breaths there. So, but he was so game. Like it was really funny. He was embarrassed, but he was great. Like everyone's so nice.
Fantastic. I think that'll make a really good intro for the podcast.
Oh no!
Oh wow.
Poor
Fantastic. Well, Lidia, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy. It's obvious how much you love what you do and the creativity. We very much look forward to enjoying everything that you work on. It'd be fantastic to meet up at some point.
Yes, definitely. I will definitely get in touch if I'm in the Toronto area for sure. It's so close.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you go. Enjoy the weather, and we'll chat another time soon. All the best.
Right.
Take care.
All the best, Atif.
Bye-bye.
Bye.